hello, hi, welcome. So today we will be making tags, vintage tags, as you can see here. I also have the digital pages so that you can see exactly how I made them go from looking like this on the page to looking like this with these. I think it's called jute cord. So I will be making these, and we will also be having some coffee, chatting. I'm drinking Bustelo, nothing fancy, but I do love a Joe's coffee. That is like a luxury I treat myself to occasionally. If you know about Joe's coffee, let me know. That is like the best coffee. But anyway, I am going to be showing you, number one, how I made these vintage tags, and sort of like a show and tell of some of the books I made this month and art that I created, which was throughout the month of February, which is my birthday month. So throughout this video, I'll be discussing two separate topics, kind of roughly. I want to discuss why I started this channel in the first place and why crafting is so near and dear to my healing journey of mental illness and becoming a fully integrated person in society. I'll be talking about that, and also why I even started this channel in the first place. I really suffered from overthinking and paralysis due to autism level 1, which I have, and ADHD. So I started this channel as a way for me to not be perfect or not market to specific anybody, just to get over the paralysis of creative overwhelm, which is one of the topics I will be discussing in this video. I will have chapters. You can move ahead or just watch the whole video, or you can just put it on mute and watch, whatever. It's totally up to you. But I definitely want to get into neurodivergence in this video and what it's like living with ADHD and autism, and how art and this channel and crafting can be a way for you if you are someone who feels just really creatively constipated is the term I use. I know it sounds really gross, but if you feel like you've had like a lot of creativity your whole life and you just feel overwhelmed, this channel might be a channel that you would like to follow, as I will be discussing ways on how to rethink your creativity. And I came across a term called polymath, which is what I am. And polymathic thinking is something that I will be getting into. So without further ado, welcome. I hope you have your coffee. I hope you have all your comfortable things, your crafting tools. I'm going to get into some of the things I'll be using. So I have this, which is Distress ink in Vintage Photo, and this little guy here by Craft Atelier. I think that's how you pronounce it. I have some jute cord that I got from, I think, Dollar Tree. And this entire roll was probably $1.50 or $2. I'm not too sure. I will also be using some DRLPSN PVA glue. It came with this brush. I actually just got a new bottle today. I just had to go pick it up. This is why this video is late. And I literally just lost the freaking top, which is so ridiculous. These companies, their tops, they make them so poorly. They don't stay on. They just so... If you have that issue, just use tape to close your glue, because otherwise your glue is going to dry out. But I love this brand because it comes with this cute little brush. It comes with a brush, and that has saved me money. So I'll be using that. Also, I'll be using these little fine art craft knives that I use for the holes. I much rather use this to punch the holes rather than like my hole puncture, although I'm going to show you both ways is fine. I like the more rugged look. So those are the tools. Oh, and obviously whatever your favorite printables are. I got these printables from Mystic Papers. So let me see. I'm going to leave her information actually in the description. So like always check my description, please, and the pinned comments where I will have additional information on anything that I've mentioned in the video, whether it's crafts, websites, and things of that nature. So let's get started. This is the first few that I made. So as you can see here, this is what this looks after it's done. This is the back, as you can see, and this is what it looks like. So obviously the backs of this is white, right? The backs of these printouts are white, and I personally enjoy that because it gives me the ability to glue whatever it is I want to have on the back of this. Like I think this looks awesome. I'm going to show you the page that I used to get this back like this, and also how I got the edges to look like this. So that's the first one. Then this is the second one. I really like the way this one came out. So this is after I've cut it out and glued the back on. So this is this one here. So you can see that. Notice how I cut the edges. This looks extremely worn. Like this paper looks very old. I'm going to show you how I got this to look like this, including the hole to look like this, how I got this paper to look distressed at the edges, how I got the back of this to look like this, and what printables I glued on the back here. This is another one. Let's set these aside. This is third one. So as you can see, this is the printable of this one. And what I really love about this one is that if you look here, it has like what looks like should be holes. And so because I'm extra, I went ahead and just added some holes in here to make it look extra old and sort of like chipped at the sides. As you can see, that's not on the tag, but I will show you all of my little tricks that I used. And this is what the back looks like. I think it came out so beautiful. Because like I said, the backs of these are all white. I'm going to show you how I get the backs of the tags like this. I just think this came out wonderful. And as you can see, the hole is not perfectly punched. I'm going to show you how I got it like that. This is the fourth one. Set those aside. And I really love this one. This one is here. So as you can see, on the printout, you can see this has a lot of distressing at the edges. And so what I love to do with printables that look like this already is make it look as exactly as I can, including the hole. So as you can see, again, the hole here is very distressed. It's not perfect. And this is the back. So this is the before and the after. Set that aside. And then this is the next tag that I did. I really love this one. I'm going to use this one and the next one I'm going to show you for a bookmark for the book that I just made. So as you can see, they all look a lot darker than the original printouts. because I use my Distress ink pad around the edges. I did use the hole puncher for this one. This is an example of me using the hole puncher for this one. And then I folded the edge here because even on the printable it's missing. So I wanted to add some extra distressing there. And this is the back. I love this. I'm going to show you the paper that I use. You can just get this on Amazon. I like this because it leaves space for you to write. So that's that one. And I believe this is the last and final one, which is my favorite because it matches this book that I'm quietly working on that I'm going to show you at the end. It's going to be a part of my biblical fiction character, Miriam Magdala. There's like a butterfly clipped on her book, so this is like the perfect ephemera tag for her book. And I think this one just came out stunning and gorgeous. And as you can see here, there's like a gold ring, what appears to be a gold ring, but there's no gold ring. If you have that like machine that punches the rings inside, that's fine. But like even if you don't, I can show you how you can make it look like that with Distress ink and maybe like some gold paint, or like I have a gold pen, how you can just like, you know, finagle it and make it look realistic. And then this is the back. Again, I love this paper because you can write on it. And so I made 2 of them with this paper so that you can see. And I will show you how I got those like this. Okay, so we're going to set those aside. And then I'm going to show you the envelopes as well. So the envelopes that I made from the Oddities printable kit here. So this is what it looks like when you print it out. You just do one side. Like I said, the opposite side is just white. I will show you how I printed these out and folded them. And I actually used, I think it's called paper bag, like, you know, like that paper bag that you get out of the store. Look at how gorgeous. I mean, I'm going to show you how I did this too. And so this is this one. This is this one once you fold it. And this is this one. Next time I'm probably going to make, because I want a little more contrast between the fold and like, you know, this, I might do like something different on the top so that it looks maybe something like this. I think this looks really cute. So I'm going to show you how I did that. So I'm going to set this aside for now. So these are some of the papers that I made. These are printables also. That is how I got the backs of these tags to look like this, as you can see here. You can easily cut. You would take your tag and you would place it like this. You'd glue it together and you'd let it dry. So I'm going to show you an example of that right now. So I'm going to place these here for now. So I've been letting my crafts dry overnight, so they're nice and ready to be cut now, so that they won't come apart as soon as I'm like ready to cut them and style them. They'll be ready to go. I'm gonna do those so that you can see. So what I love most about crafting and why I started this channel is because I just felt so much paralysis around creativity. And I think most people who have neurodivergence, ADHD, you know, we suffer from this. It's quite debilitating. And it was really becoming a problem in my life. And so I figured, you know, I really need a way to exercise this paralyzing creativity. So if you don't have a book press or a paper press, you can use like a really heavy book like this. This is my Strong's Concordance. But this is how I press my pages together safely. So you get a heavy book and you get like a weight. You use baking sheets paper so that you don't ruin your lovely Bible pages. Well, this is not a Bible, but you place them in between. See? This is after I already cut them and separated them from the paper, from the page. But I'm going to set these aside. So I'm just showing you how you can, if you don't have something to press your paper down. So see, okay, great. I still have an example of, so this paper I got from Amazon. I think like 50 sheets. It's really cheap. So this is what the paper looks like, right? And so you can see this is what the back of the tag looks like. So cute. And it matches perfectly. So what you would do is you would take whatever printable you have, you would glue it down after you've distressed the edges, cut around how exactly you want everything to look. You paste it, you put it in here, you close it. I mean, an hour is fine, but I'm just extra. I like to press it overnight, especially if it's not like necessary. And then you just cut it out. And then now the back of your paper has a back and it's not just plain white and you can write on it. So this is the paper for that. So I'm going to place this also on the side. I think I have one more layer. Yep, I do. Here go my tags. So this is how I got them. Okay, I think that's it. Let me just move this big guy here. Okay. So as you can see, what you would do is you would cut your tags out from here and then glue them onto something like this that is double-sided. And then so I'm going to make one as an example. So I figure I can do this one since I really like how these edges look on this one. And I will set these on the side. And then I will also cut this one out just so I can give you an example of how to cut, you know, cut these out and things like that. Let me get my scissors. This coffee is so good. So you want to make sure you have this, and your distress ink and your distress brush. Next, I am going to show you the envelopes, but for right now, I want to show you these. So now, I guess, you know, we can talk a little bit about how crafting and being a polymath. Let me bring this down a little bit closer so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. So how crafting can help you if you have any kind of even like substance use issues. I'm really trying to not get flagged here, but I think we can all understand what I'm saying. Crafting is a way to come back to yourself. It's a way that I self-regulate, and it's one of the things that calms me down. It's one of the things that helps me with my cognitive demand overload, and just giving me a sense of groundedness when things are really stressful. So really quickly, if you can see, I am not cutting this in a straight line. Smaller scissors might help this, but for now I have been finessing with these big ass scissors. But do not cut it straight. You really, I think in this community they call it fussy cutting. Please help. If I'm saying it wrong, I'm still learning all the terms of this community. But I think things like this, you know, might seem tedious to someone else, but that's exactly the thing your brain needs when you are someone who is neurodivergent or trying to overcome certain neurological, I don't know if I want to call it deficits, but neurological differences. And right now I'm in school for peer counseling training. Actually, you know what? Let me show you something too. I sometimes like to tear these edges off because I just want to show you something. It gives like a different, you know, I just want to show you that because sometimes tearing it gives it like another layer of, so like at the end you can bend it or fold it a lot easier. Like for example, like this. So yeah, like I was saying, I'm in peer counseling to do peer counseling support work. And I find that they have a sector for creative arts and how creative arts can heal all kinds of things. Anxiety, PTSD, it's like an outlet. And so me starting this channel was not for like me to start a business or to start, like, I really am right now suffering from burnout. This truly is for me to come back to myself, have an outlet to meet other people who enjoy this kind of art medium so that I don't talk my family members to death about it, or the people that I love, like driving them crazy, wanting to talk about digital printable kits and stuff all day long. But yeah, for now, while I'm still in school and recovering from burnout, I thought it would be awesome to share my insights. I have like 20 years of insight on mental illness, the mental health industry, and things that I've learned along the way, just things that I really wish I knew freaking 20 years ago, to be honest. But we live and we learn. So now that that's cut out, as you can see, there are still like spaces here. What I like to do with these areas is like go in and like get in there like that, because that's how you get this appearance at the end. So you get in there in these little crags. Honestly, I've always been into art and stuff, but this has been the most calming and relaxing thing I've done, honestly. I also paint. That's another thing that I do, like not as a business. A lot of the stuff I'm going to be doing moving forward is sort of self-explanatory, so I'm just going to talk about the mental health stuff. But I've noticed that a lot of creatives feel what I'm feeling. It's something that I really had no idea. Like, I remember my first hospitalization about 13 years ago. I'm 42 now, but my first hospitalization was about 13 years ago. Well, I was 29, and I noticed that a lot of the people that were in the hospital were creative people. They were people who had spiritual gifts. They were really kind people, very sensitive people. And it made me wonder, because I started noticing that, like, as I continued my life, a lot of people who suffer from these so-called mental illnesses, which I just think is, you know, people need support systems, and without them, you will suffer from mental and physical illness. So really quick, what I did here, I just want to show you something. These little crags that I cut in here, I'm folding them into a V like that. And I'm folding that one like that. Then I'm going in here with this so that when you pull it back out, you have that look. You see? So yeah, over my life, I just realized that this system, there's no proper support for people in the mental health field. And, you know, I've taken over like 20 different medications at this point in my life. And you just begin to realize, like, there has to be more, right? People need support. People need to feel integrated in the society. People need accommodations at work. People need a sense of independence. People want to work. People want to be and feel part of their communities. Anyone I've ever met in this in the mental health space, these people wanted independence. You know, there hasn't been a day in my life that I didn't want to be a part of my community. And so I think peer counseling, what I'm doing now, is a way for me to do that. You want to get really close to these edges. So like where you see the black, you want to get like really close in there, because then once you put this on top, it looks really black. So like even if you don't have the black color of this distress ink, you can take advantage of the fact that the edges of the printout is already black, so don't cut it off. Don't cut the black off. You want to just cut directly above the black part. See like how this one is? You don't want to cut off that black part. You want to keep it. Okay. So this one doesn't necessarily have a hole, but what I'm going to do, since I see a black dot here, I'm going to take my, I think it's called an X-Acto knife. Please excuse me if I'm calling things the incorrect name. So take this X-Acto knife. You be really careful now. And see, this is actually not in the shape of a circle. It's actually like a little L shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it here in the dark place. I'm going to place this down on the paper. I like to use a foam board because then, like, you know, you don't really care about poking holes. And, you know, I just learned that today, by the way. Like, You know what? When I need to make these holes, I can just use this foam board and it'll give me that space. Okay, so now see, I just stuck it in there, and now what you do is you can turn it. Oops, I broke it. Well, that's fine. I'll just use it as, because we're not being perfect on this channel, so what? It broke, so what? That'll just make the edge look more tattered. So I'm just gonna use that to my advantage. This one won't have a hole in it. That's the end of it. Because again, I'm using this channel to heal perfectionism, heal creative paralysis, and just create. The point is just creating. The point is not to market to a specific person or demographic, or like, it's literally, I can care less. Like, the point is finding community around something that I love to do. See, there we go. That's fine. That actually looks really good because it looks like the paper ripped there. So we're going to keep that. And I'll just use, put this to the side. I will use this one to show you. That one kind of ripped too, so that's fine. But yeah, this is how I made it. So now what you do is you crinkle this up like this. This is how you get the back to look really, really crinkly. So you crinkle it up like that. Hold it. You take your distress pad, and then you go like this over the parts that's sticking up. So all of the wrinkled parts is gonna receive, see, all the parts that's lifted up. So that when you take it down, see that? Look at that. It looks like an old piece of paper that's just been like sitting in someone's pocket forever. And then you just go over it like that. You can fold it to, you can make the lines wherever you want. Like I said, this is not about perfection. It's just about the act of creation, meditative creation. So I like the way this looks. Yeah, that looks so good. And then wrinkling the paper again just gives it a softer, it feels soft, it feels old, and then you would just bring it back out. And then it gives it like this really soft, I wish you could feel it. And see, look at that. You would not be able to tell this really looks old. You can brush over this just a little bit to give it just another layer of like vintage color. I like the way that looks. And then moving right along. So that's how you do those. That is how you make these. You take a page like this, and you take this, you cut them out, you place them on top, you cut them out, and then you have a back. So whatever you want your back to look like, whatever you want. So like I had some paper with some script on it like this. And so that's how I got this. The sun decided to come out and say hi. So the page looked something like this. And so I glued my tag onto it, let it dry overnight, cut it out. And so that's the trick. That's how you get these really, really old looking tags. Now I'm going to show you how I did my envelopes. I think these are so cute. Also, this is a cute little envelope that I'm sending my best friend's daughter. It's so cute. So this envelope is going to her. I'm not going to show you the questions I have on it, but it's a cute little fold out. How adorable. And then the questions are there. Boop, quick. So yeah, and then you write your questions. These are just other ephemera tags that I did that I'm going to send with her. And this is so cute to send family or friends. I have a, what do you call it? A wax seal and wax stamp. So I'm actually going to use my wax seal and send this to her. So it'll look something like this. It's so cute. I have a gold wax seal. So how adorable. So cute. I love this one. So yeah, I'm gonna send those with her. That's why these are in here. But I'm gonna show you how I did this and how I got the garbage bag. It's so exciting. So this material here is like, I guess it's garbage bag. Like this comes with, I know this came with like orders, you know, stuff that you order. This like tissue paper, I have no idea. Garbage bag, brown paper bag, I have no idea. But this is what I used to make these envelopes. And that is how you get the inside to look like this. I took this printable kit and I basically just take one out. Oops. I took these. I took a sheet of this and I glued it. I glued it on with my PVA glue, the glue that I showed you that's going to be in the description with this, the craft glue. And see, so this is going to be the inside. You can see this is the front, and then this will be the inside once it's folded. Get this out of the way. So, as you can see, I glued the sides of these. I could have sworn that I had an example that was glued down, but I guess I didn't. But yeah, that's how I made those cute little envelopes. So next, I want to show you how you get them to stay closed. What I basically did for this one, since it doesn't have the flaps on the edge, was I put a tiny little bit of glue on the edges. So you can see the borders, where the borders are here. That's where I put the glue. So I'm just going to show you really quickly. I'll do this one. Let me close this up. And then next I'm going to show you how I made this book from scratch using old, I guess from old journals, old paper journals that I had. Like, you know how you have these pages inside your journal that you never used, but like they're still good pages, but you just never used it. So yeah, I'm going to show you how I did that. I after I cut this and show you this really quickly. So yeah, mental health is something that I've always been interested in and knew that I would eventually work in that industry. I just knew I had to get my own mental health straightened out first, you know. And thank God that you know, my situation where my life changed dramatically was about, when was this? We're in 2026 now. I think it was 2023. No, 2024, I think. Oh my gosh, I'm like so bad with time. But I was sitting on a park bench at midnight, and this particular day was just, it was one of those days where you felt like you were literally gonna die, and it's so dramatic, but it's like I was having a mental health crisis. And I remember it was midnight, I was sitting in this park, and I was just pleading and just crying to God, like, help me. And I remember just being like, I'm tired of being like this. I'm tired of carrying around this demon that wants me to take myself out of here. Like, Lord, I'm tired. I don't want to carry this anymore. And in all of the pleading and in all of the anguish and just everything I was feeling at that time, something what I would consider just totally miraculous happened to me. The way it felt, if I can describe it, if you have like a favorite granddad or someone who is like your favorite person, but for me, like, I had never met my dad's dad, but I assumed that's what it would feel like if you had a favorite granddad and like you're stranded in the middle of like a storm and your car is like broken down on the side of the road, and like your favorite grandpa just comes up and has cookies and milk and it's like a blanket and telling you it's gonna be okay. That's what my salvation felt like in that park that day. And I heard the name Yeshua. I heard someone saying Yeshua over and over. And I couldn't understand what that name was. I was like, what is this? I'm just like, am I schizophrenic now? Like, has it gotten that bad to where like I'm hearing voices? So I looked up the name, and Yeshua means salvation in Hebrew. And I don't know Hebrew. I never studied Hebrew before. So who knows, right? You know, I think the brain is magical. I think there are things beyond our mental comprehension here that is happening. And that's how my salvation story went. And then I started looking into Hebrew and what Yeshua means and how that was also a name for God. And I said, well, someone answered me in the park that day, because I left out of that park with no addictions, with no obsessions, no, like all of the things that was weighing heavily on my mind had been completely removed in an instant. I'm talking about in a second. A lifetime of just mental illness gone. And so, yeah, you can see how easy that was to fold, right? And then what you would do is you would just put a little glue in there. But yeah, you would do that after you, you could even use this, right? You glue it here. You'd let it dry overnight. And then you cut it out and then fold it. And then this would be the inside. this will be the inside of your letter. So yeah, that's my salvation story. You know, I always tell people, like, religion didn't save me, right? I'm not a religious person. It's so crazy how people confuse believing in God with religion. Religion is religious thinking is actually demonic. It's someone trying to control your thinking and control your destiny. And that is definitely not what the teachings of Yahweh was. Yahweh did not teach religious doctrine. He taught freedom. If you know anything about people who in our past wanted human beings to be free, we know they persecute you. Okay, there are systems here that don't want us free. And so I try to make that very clear with people. I have a relationship with God, not religion. And I truly am not concerned about what anyone chooses to study or do here. That's their business. But I will talk about my salvation and what happened to me, because I think more people need to understand that there are things happening here that we can't explain, but that it doesn't make it any less valid, right? And so I live a life of gratitude for that salvation. And, you know, so that's what recovery looks like for me. It looks like becoming a part of my community. It looks like rehabilitating myself, living a sober life, finding gainful employment. It looks like having a community that I love being a part of. It looks like having artistic activities that make me feel good. It looks like sharing my story with other people. That's what it looks like for me. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut this out so that you can see something. Actually, before I do that, let me just show you something really quick. I did promise you that I was going to show you the book that I made. So I have this on my shorts on my channel. If you look at my YouTube shorts, I show you the entire process from front to back. I coffee dyed this paper. This was one page, by the way. This was one paper, if you can see here. This was actually one big sheet of paper. Look, you can still see how it's, you can see it. That I cut in half. I coffee dyed one large piece of paper, inside and out, both sides. I coffee dyed it, and then what I did was folded it into a spine. I actually love how this is peeling. It makes it look more vintage. Then what I did was I ripped out a bunch of signatures from old journals that I had. You can see this. So this is what I mean, like old journals, sometimes there's a lot of pages that you haven't used. So I tore out a bunch of them. I took this and I just glued them in here. Look at how awesome that looks. You can see. The only thing left I have to do is trim it with my razor. And I'm also going to add some cute little pockets in here using this printable kit. Like, I'm just gonna add some like pockets on the inside. They look more like that. some pockets on the side to put things in. So yeah, I'm gonna make another book with this one. So yeah, that's how you would do it. You take some sheets of paper. You can use whatever paper you want to. It, like, literally whatever paper you want to use. It doesn't have to be lined paper. It could be watercolor paper. So yeah, like for example, I made this dream journal too out of like black cardstock paper. And I have a video where I show you how I did that. So this is my dream journal, and I used this paper to make it. I took a whole bunch of these pages, folded them, see, and I cut them into 4. And that's what I did. This is the back. This is a printable kit that I used. See, I made a pocket back here. This is from my best friend Sarah. I love this so much. She sent this to me in a letter that she wrote me. It's so adorable. Look at how she cut these holes, see? I love this. She had to cut each one to make it look like a bookworm. I thought this was so cute. So adorable. I feel so sad for people, honestly, who just can't feel like this amount of joy for something that is just, I feel like it's like $1 million worth of joy. And it doesn't have to cost me $1 million to feel this much joy. So yeah, this is my dream journal. And you can make these. This is my bookmark. I like to use tea bags. I collect them. So this one says settling is not an option. So that's my bookmark for this one. I think it's really cute. So these are 2 books that I made for the month of my birthday month. I made this one in January though. So I made this. I made a bunch of tags. I made a bunch of paintings this month. And so I was a busy girl. But if you are enjoying these kinds of videos, like I said, I'm going to be publishing once or twice a month. I can commit to that until I'm out of school. But it will be a compilation video. I'll be discussing stuff like mental health, neurodivergence, and showing you all of my craft projects that I'm making, that I'm using to heal my nervous system, and a lot of other tips and tricks and things that I'm doing to help myself rehabilitate my life and help others on their journey wherever I can to rehabilitate their life. And so lastly, like I promised too, this was another book that I made that I just love so much. It's coming along so nice. This is like a personal journal that I'm making. And it's Marian Magdala. That is a digital image that I created. I made this in Canva. I used Google Gemini and described the way she looks. So she's a fictional character. And the back of this book is a little bit about her. It says, these remarkable texts were recovered in 1967 from a sealed clay jar discovered in a cave near Qumran. The scrolls, written on parchment with a distinctively feminine script, were found alongside more well-known Dead Sea Scroll fragments. Carbon dating places the manuscript around 3055 CE, precisely during the early formation of Christianity. So this is one of her Psalms, 151, verse 6. In the house of healing, the dying gasp, and the doors of comfort stand fast shut. So this Psalms, which is not in the Bible again, because this is a fictional story that I created from a blog post that I made. So I basically came up with my own Bible scriptures, which are fictional, but they come from a real place. And this was one of the Psalms that I decided to put on the back of this, what I would consider her personal journal, her personal archive of things that she loved. And so the journal isn't finished. It is sewn. It's a sewn spine. And I used a little bit of this. And so I will be doing a dedicated video, next video, about everything that's inside of here, all of her writings. See, the butterfly matches this butterfly that I'm going to have pinned here to the side. So this will be like a junk journal of all of her writings and things that she loved. And I'm going to be showing you how I'm creating it, how I'm making this journal and what it means, her poetry, her stories. And so, yeah, stay tuned for that one. I cannot wait to come back on here and tell you about her. And if you want like a little sneak peek, I can leave the blog post in my description about her, the blog that started all of this. It was Easter actually last year. And I wrote a blog post about how I was feeling on that Easter day. I was feeling like a lot of mourning and just sadness. And I was not in the spirit of, you know, praising and worship. It was just a very like, a very mournful day for me. And so I wrote this blog post. So if you want to read this blog post, you can, or you can wait until I upload the audio version of that post along with the description of how I'm creating this historical artifact, this imaginary biblical character, and how I'm creating her story. And even down to like, you know how people break down scriptures. I even have breakdowns of her scriptures. So I'm literally building a world for not just her. I have 2 other biblical fiction characters that I'm writing stories for. And I think anyone who is into fiction and depth and spirituality and wisdom and philosophical thinking will really enjoy these stories. I kind of feel like stuff like this is another way to access God, because God is a creator. And I feel like creation was the first thing that human beings were doing. Even before there were modern tools like what we're using now for like paint. And I mean, we always found ways to create. I mean, you look at scrolls. Scrolls were before books, before we had bound books like this. People were writing on linen paper. I actually found some linen paper in my house. It's like 20 years old. Well, maybe not 20 years old, but it's so old. This linen paper here. I'm actually going to make a scroll out of it. I can't wait to do that. So yeah, they were like writing on linen paper and rolling up books. I love this stuff. I almost feel like, I mean, was I like a scribe or a philosopher or something, if there's a such thing as past lives? I'm so aggravated with this video right now because I'm totally realizing that it is probably the wrong way. But I am uploading this to my YouTube channel also, because since my YouTube channel is new, I can't go live yet. I need more subscribers. But I feel so hopeful and so encouraged. Not that subscribers even matter, but the fact that this brand new channel I started is getting attention and people are subscribing. I feel really grateful because, you know, I truly just want to not be annoying the people I love in my life who don't care about stuff like this. I think it's really important for us to have community around your passion, things that really light you up and just make you so happy. Like me and my best friend sharing artwork with each other. She lives in Canada. I live obviously in New York. The joy and excitement we get from sending each other like these little paper gifts or paper crafts and letters. I mean, it literally just feels like this is why we're alive, to share joy with one another. And I feel sorry for people who don't have that. And so I've started like handwriting letters to my friends and family, even if, you know, some of them never write me back. The point is that when you leave this earth, what are you leaving behind? You know, what are you leaving behind when you're not here? I realized how valuable handwritten letters were when my mom passed away, and I had this poem that she wrote dedicated to me. It was one of the most beautiful poems, and that poem still encourages me today. It encourages me to embrace my creativity, embrace what God gave me. And look at me now, you know. I've been painting since I was 7 years old. But it was always just for me. It's for me, you know, like I really believe that, like, I'm not saying that it's not okay that we shouldn't sell art or that art shouldn't be monetized or that artists shouldn't get paid. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that artists need to save something for themselves, though. Always have something that's just for you, because art is freedom. Art truly is freedom. And I'm realizing that. And once you attach money to it, there's an expectation. It's not for you anymore. It's for someone else. You're making it for somebody else. And so I think God gave us gifts, and maybe the gift was for us. You know, I thought about that. I said, they call it gifts, but maybe the gift was to you. Art is your freedom. It's your soul's freedom. It's the only time that you can feel what it feels like to have freedom. And I would never jeopardize that. You know, I'm not saying I will never sell my art or whatever. But I will always keep something for me, always. At some point, though, I will have an art show and tell of all the paintings and drawings that I've done over the years that I'm sure other people can find joy from. But, you know, I have to keep something for me, you know, that I do that is for my own mental, for my sanity. So once I start feeling like art is stressing me out, it's defeating the purpose. Once I'm doing it for somebody else, it's no longer, it has lost the point. We've lost the plot. So I always say that, you know, artists who are full-time artists, they start to grow a resentment for their art. So a lot of them do, especially ones who go corporate or like Hollywood even. They're working to satisfy and appease someone else. You know, you're getting paid, that's the price, because, you know, that's the price. The payment was supposed to be your freedom. The payment was your relaxation. The payment, you know, but you can't do both. You know, it's either going to be for someone else or it's going to be for you. You can't do both. Now, if you fall in that sweet spot where someone commissions you and gives you full creative control, that is the sweet spot. That is technically, and even then it is still somewhat of some pressure because you're like, dang, this person is giving me full creative control. I hope they like it. But, you know, I think you get my point. Anyway, I have no idea how long this video is. This is my first video for my channel, and I hope it was enjoyable for you to listen to and watch and got some ideas. I will be publishing shorts, like I said, throughout the month that will either be related to neurodivergence, tips and tricks to regulate your nervous system, AuDHD, which is what I have, autism and ADHD. And if you have watched the video this long, why don't you let me know if there was anything in this video that you really liked, and I eventually will see how I can start, you know, if people want some of these things, because for now I'm just sharing my stuff with friends and family and, you know, sharing my art that way. But I do actually have some principles that are coming out that I've created. They're mermaids. They're like mermaid journal pages. You can look at my shorts. I have uploaded them on my YouTube shorts. They are stunning. These black mermaids are gorge. I mean, I literally screamed when I first saw them. And so I'm making journal pages out of them. I love the way this came out. Beautiful. And so now what I would do is, again, you just crumple this up. Crumple it up. And then you go over top. So if you've watched the video this long, just let me know, like, do you suffer from any of the paralysis that I mentioned, just like creative paralysis, or even like, do you feel judged by people? I think I made a shorts discussing that, how so many artists, like, we're called lazy, people judge us, but it's like a lot of it is just mental illness and not getting the support that we need, or it's neurodivergence, it's not getting the proper treatment to integrate into the society, the correct accommodations. I'm so grateful that I have a wonderful psychiatrist therapist now for the past year, and there's hope, you know, there truly is hope. And I'm so glad that I know that recovery is possible now, you know. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. My name is Nirvana. And until next time, until we come back to nerd out over some more tags and books and journals and Miriam Magdala and vintage papers. Until next time, thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your time. And I truly hope that you are getting everything that you need in this life to get by. And I hope this video brought you some peace. Take care. Bye.